Hey guys, welcome back with another video at Linksy. Today we'll be covering the units of Aeneas' roster and to see what he has to offer. Well, straight off the bat, we'll go with Aeneas himself. He's a shielded hero. He's a fighter, but more of a commander. He has quite a big boosts for himself, melee attack and AoE. He has he puts their speed. He has divine regeneration, which is based on rage and provides rage when activated, and it's 6 hit points per second, and it lasts for 55 seconds. So it's quite a decent amount of rage of healing, but you can only use it twice. And that's understandable because it limits the regeneration. Divine armor, again, just challenges someone else to fight. He loses a little bit of armor, but it is a way to get to another hero unit to fight you, another lord general. Blood of Heracles, shout, so he terrifies the units and basically gets himself and his allies more weapon damage, morale, melee attack. And of course, March of Hermes, the speed buff, which gives you more stamina, more speed. He himself then goes with armor. He has a decent amount of armor, 65 missile defense block chance, which is good. 65 armor itself, good morale, very high morale. Decent speed, melee attack, melee defense, and damage over 10 seconds is very high, so he's going to slaughter anything he's fighting. But his health leaves a lot to be desired. And even though he has a maximum regeneration point of 3800, which probably would get hit by the cap by divine regeneration, he is going to go down rather quickly. He can hide and he's unbreakable. That's at least a decent amount ability, and he is perfect stamina, perfect vigor, so that's amazing. Then his first unit, the Dardanian Jesus. I mean, this is another mob unit. It has a small shield, which is useful. It has 35 missile block chance. That's great. It's a spear, so it has a little bit of bonus versus large. Not that much damage. Minimal. Morale is decent. It's quite high, actually, with 45 base value, and then it has its flanks and hero. Gives it a bit of a boost. Armor leaves a lot to be desired for. And charge bonus is also, this is a unit that you'll just fill in the roster with just in case you run out of stuff. Then there's the Dardanian Rebel, which is pretty much the same without the shield and a slightly higher damage and charge bonus. Nothing to really write home about. The first thing we actually start talking about is the Coastal Club Fighters. Again, very cheap unit, but they do have a little bit more damage, and they are classed as a medium unit. They will hold themselves really well. Their speed, though, is something that is good. Considering their situation, these guys have decent amount of speed. As you can see, 48 speed for the mob, 37 speed for the Coastal Club Fighters. So this is going to be a good unit to clean up with and make sure units that are routed do not come back. Then there are the Axe Fighters, which are the version which I believe have a little bit more armor piercing, so 9 armor piercing versus 2. So these guys are going to be really good in, charging the rear of a spear wall, heavy armored spears, and doing that little bit of a damage. They're shielded, of course, and they do a little bit of extra damage in that regards. No charge bonus, however, and their speed is still 37. Then the same version of the unit, just with a club, two-handed club. They of course have better charge bonus. They have a bit more morale as well. They're considered as light infantry because they also run quite fast. They need to, because this is a charging unit. You need to cycle charge with it. But once a missile volley comes into them, they're not going to survive for very long. Their upgraded version is the Axe Charger, who has 5 more armor and a little bit more of everything. Again, Aeneas is very based on light infantry and swarming tactics, so this is going to be the case of this situation where he is just going to swarm you with a lot of troops from every direction, and this is why these two units are going to be so important, especially when you have Dardanian Mob and Rebel holding the front line, which are not the best units in the game. He does have decent troops, the Anatolian Swords, which are a fantastic unit. For the price range, you have, again, 35 armor with shield block chance. I believe it's also 65%. They actually get a really big bonus there, though their shield is a little bit too small. Their morale is decent, speed, attack, everything else is decent, but they do a decent amount of damage, and that little bit of extra armor allows them to be a much better unit than most with regards to flanking and running around. Shieldless spears are, again, just not the best unit. They are considered a charger, but their charge bonus is very weak. They're very good at dealing with large units, and this is what you'd use them with. When a cavalry charges into you, you try and catch them off guard. Their speed is not the best though, and it needs a little bit of more speed, but I'm sure there'll be balance changes. They're Dardanian spearmen. These guys of course have the shield ability, and that gives them a massive buff to their attack, but they have 45 armor, lots of missile block chance, and they're a very good unit. This is going to be the core of your army. This is going to be the holding the line. With them mixed in with the Dardanian mobs, you're going to be well. And these sworn fighters are still light infantry. Why do they have only... Oh, because terrain? Wait. What? Yes, but I want to know why you're moving at 53 speed. It seems they should be running faster, but maybe the terrain is different. Difficult? Let's see. 53 speed is really fast. Okay, 55 speed. Okay, so it seems that it was the terrain that they were on. They are going to be an amazing unit. That was, yeah. So it seems some of this terrain is going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. It seems these arrow towers, the machine gun towers, are acting up. That's a really good unit in general. Weak versus missiles, of course, but if you manage to get them to the side, as you can see, they're really, really fast. And if you compare them with these guys have a head start, but they're not gonna manage to get there in time. These guys are catching up, and they're probably gonna overtake them. But they also seem to have decent stamina and morale. So, these guys will be amazing at flanking units. Alright, back to these. Then there's the heavy Anatolian spearmen. Again, this is something we've seen a lot from the Trojan forces. They have these spearmen which are very, very highly upgraded, and they have the heavy Anatolian swords as well. These guys are going to be really strong units in holding the line. And they have, you know, decent attack, decent armor, and decent holding potential, especially spears when you remove their shields. Wait, what? Okay, you cannot remove the shield for these guys. You can for the smaller ones, but not for these ones. That's interesting. Perhaps because they're such heavy armor, they're not allowed. They have, you know, bonus against most infantry types, so they're going to be really well. His swords themselves are decent. They're kind of slow, but this is important. Both of these are resistant to flanking, so you'll have a few of these in the front line. Wait, let's see, front line units holding the battle line against the enemy. You have a few units of these, and then 2 units of kind of Anatolian swords mixed with the Anatolian swords in the flank, making sure your army doesn't get surrounded. Then these are the units that will decide the game. The Dardanian sworn fighters. These guys are the heavily upgraded Dardanian fighters we saw. They're gonna get even better abilities and everything. Their only minor issue is they're gonna be slower. They're gonna have more armor. They're gonna last longer. They're gonna do more damage. This is more of 1-shot, 2-shot glass cannon compared to the others, which can be more mobile. And now we have the Fearless Spearmen. They have javelins, 2 javelins. They have 22 damage per javelin. That's armor piercing, so that's really good. Apart from that, they have 35 speed, and it seems they are an expert at flanking. These guys have a ridiculous 91 morale, so that's definitely going to be a unit that you just throw into the middle of the enemy to disrupt formations. Them, as well as these Dardanian Chargers, which have 35 speed but 33 attack. These are going to be a fantastic 2 units to just send in and disrupt the formations. The morale is very high on both, and that's, again, builds up on what there is. These guys also have a Pila, and that's really unique for charger units. And this, again, shows the faction capabilities. These are unique faction units, as you can see by the highlighting colors of the units. So when you're looking at unique units, you have the Dardanian Mob, the Dardanian Rebel, Fearless Swordsman, and our Dardanian Chargers. And They are unique units for Aeneas. Now, we have the light skirmishers. Nothing to write home about. We've seen these guys before. They're the same thing as ever. You know, fast, hard hitting, and 15 ammunition. They have 20 damage, armor piercing, which is great. Then they have the heavy Anatolian version of them, which again are just slight upgrade over that. And you have the Anatolian stingers, which are slightly armored, just 10 armor. They're quite fast. They're actually meant to be faster. I don't know what's the speed issue on this terrain. They have decent missile range, decent missile damage, and they're gonna have fun. 48 speed is great, and they're gonna have a fun time. As you can see, Aeneas does not have really a missile roster at all. He is all about swarming and not being held back at all. He does, however, then have Trojan horses on chariots. Here he has these chariots, which are a fantastic strong unit. It doesn't stop at anything. They keep marching straight through. Pretty much any infantry unit. You can block them up by blobbing up really heavily, but since the units are quite loose, it's going to be very difficult to do so. He does have archer chariots, which are a nice addition. They're going to be a decent range, 120 range. Nothing to write home about. They have 50 ammunition, but then again, you have only 9 of them, and 54 missile damage. So they're going to do some damage. You're going to attack high value units with these guys and make sure that they don't come back. What he does get in custom battles is Harpies. Now, Harpies are a fantastic unit. They are decent at fighting melee, but they are, at the end of the day, javelin throwers. They have 12 javelins. They have only 115 range, but they do 63 damage, and they are fast. 55 speed puts them up almost as fast as the horses, frankly speaking. Chariot has only 65 speed, 88 speed in terms of the archer chariots. So they're going to run and keep up, and frankly speaking, that's a really cool mechanic, because chariots often had light infantry running with them, or horses, so it's going to be great. Then there are the savage centaur warriors, which are your cavalry. Very few factions have cavalry, and it makes sense to have a swarming faction with cavalry. What do they have is decent armor, 40 missile block chance, 55 armor. They have good morale. They have ridiculously fast speed, 90 speed. Just we show how fast they are. They are cavalry, and they are gonna not be afraid to show it. They have melee attack and melee defense, 36 and 26. Nothing to really write home about, but their charge bonus is what they're at. They're gonna be your shock cavalry. They're gonna charge in and charge out. They're gonna do decent damage against most units, and they have 10 armor piercing, which is fantastic, especially since there are some decently armored units in the Trojan roster. Harpy fiends are the upgraded harpies. These guys are bonkers. 18 missiles, same range, same damage, 18 missiles. They can fire while hidden, they can run while hidden. They are powerful, strong, and just a beautiful addition to the army. Having one of them in your army is going to do a lot. It's good to know that these units, the mythical units, are all capped. The elite ones for 1, and the elite ones you only get 1, and the basic ones such as the harpies and the savage centaurs you only get 2. Now the centaur champions are everything that the centaurs are, but they are, so these guys, and we'll look at this, right? They're faster, they're stronger, and they're just better at everything. But of course they are limited because they're ridiculously expensive. I believe there's something 1,000 something to hire. They also have a lot of damage with 68 charge bonus. They're fast, they're at 89 speed, and they're just gonna hit hard and, you know, not let you come. Then there's centaur elders, which are almost as good as the centaur champions in terms of melee, but then you have 145 range, 30 missiles, and 45 ammo on 38 of them. They are the same speed. So frankly speaking, getting centaur elders over the centaur champions is going to be really important, and it's going to really help you out. It's definitely something that we'd love to see. And with that, that's the army composition. It's going to be a really interesting composition for multiplayer. It's going to see a lot of people possibly going with the Dardanians in land battles, but also in siege battles I can see them doing well, because in combination with other armies they will be the first to storm the walls. They're fast, they're furious, they're weak in ammunition, but they should get to the walls rather easily, and we'll see how fast they get to the walls actually while we're talking. And I can see them doing really well in pretty much most scenarios. Their main issue remains to be armored units and missile units in general, but they seem to then excel in skirmishing, in running down units and damaging units. Will definitely be a contender for one of the best factions in the land battles and on fortified towns, but they will suffer slightly in terms of 1v1s in sieges, because their units will take a lot of damage getting to the walls. Then again, they're fast enough to maybe dodge most of the shots that are up to the walls, and once you get in close enough, it's not gonna really matter. As you can see, I just failed the entire settlement with Dardanian mobs over here, and just for the sake of showing this unit compositions. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this, the content on Aeneas. I hope you appreciate the amazingness of the centaurs, the chariots, because they're going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. And with that said, thanks for watching, guys. If you like the content, please subscribe. I'm going to be returning to my normal schedule of Rome mixed with, of course, Troy and other games as of tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed. I keep saying hope you guys enjoy. I've just woken up and my brain is a little bit of slush. The Troy launch, and we'll play around with Troy quite a bit. There's a lot this game has to offer, and I'm really enjoying it myself. With that said, take care, guys. Stay safe and have a cookie. Bye bye.